Today I'm going to be finding and confronting the man that sold Autoalex, a famous YouTuber, and his wonderful cameraman, a dodgy pile of rubbish, being a BMW 5 Series from Bradford. That's my home city, baby. It's the Wild Wild West out here, and we're going to find him. Now, to put you in the picture totally here, what's happened is Autoalex has got a wonderful cameraman called Mike. Mike has bought, blind, a BMW 5 Series from Bradford. He's had it delivered, he's turned it with a load of warning lights on. It looks like it's going to cost him thousands of pounds. Now, Alex has done the right thing and remedied the situation by putting Mike into a nice new car. Unfortunately, as we read through all of the comments and all the kickoff on this, Autoalex refused to name the dealer. And he didn't want to do this because he didn't want any drama.
I would love to go up to the dealer, speak to him in person, but there's just no need for any drama.
Now, I quite like a bit of drama. Edmund King, president of the AA. Why are our roads so terrible? It's my frigging car park.
Packing was.
And in turn wanted to rip each other's heads off. Well, today, I've got them both sat on a sofa.
Are you calling us liars?
Did you want to take that on the product page changes?
Now, all car dealers are not created equally. You've got good ones, bad ones, and indifferent ones. Bradford hasn't got the best of reputation for selling cars, and myself have got it wrong on occasion. For example,
Anything wrong with it? Anything you need to know about it? Does it drive all right?
fine.
So I'm currently broken down on the side of the road in Bradford.
Now, when things go wrong, which they always do when you're selling cars, it's not what goes wrong, it's how it's dealt with. And Mike, bless him, has ended up in a really nasty situation there as a result of this car dealer not doing the right thing, which is totally unacceptable. Now, this is my home city, like it or don't like it, and this is my industry, and I feel I'm the right man to find out who this guy is. And spoiler alert, I did.
Got the car off, and a couple of days later, he's saying, look, I want a refund.
Can we have a little chat, lads? Now, this has not been an easy task. I've had to scroll through the internet, look on all the back streets in Bradford, look at all the different types of dealerships that this might have happened from, and it took me a long time to eventually pinpoint this one individual who's done this nasty deed to Mike. But let's start off at the start of the journey in the centre of the city, Bradford. Welcome to Bradford, a land of opportunity, my hometown. I was born and raised here. Now, Bradford was named City of Culture 2025, and you can see why. It is a smelting pot of different cultures. I mean, it did come as a shock, but mainly to the people of Bradford. If you are a business opportunity, you'd like a shop, there's one to rent here. There's one there. What looks like a tattoo parlour to rent down there. There's a whole host. Fancy a hair studio? So much opportunity. There's more. Importantly, if you are stuck in Bradford and you've dropped your phone, do not worry, because there are plenty of phone shops to repair it. We've got one here, 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 and here. Another one here, 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 and here. Go on here, go on here. Another one here, and here. Within 200 square metres, half a dozen to a dozen. So never fear, you will not be without your phone. You can spend your afternoons gambling and then celebrate your winnings by getting an African haircut. You can even join the army. Whatever type of food that you want, you can get it here in Bradford. From kebabs to a doner burger, pizzas, and of course curry. Lots and lots of delicious curry. And who doesn't like a nice Rogan Josh on a Saturday night? The other thing about Bradford is the property prices. I mean, it is insane value for money. There is so much to offer in Bradford that people don't talk about. Right, we've been rained out of the city centre here, so I'm going to show you another couple of things, then move on to the dealerships, and let's try and pinpoint this guy. I might sound like I'm joking, but I genuinely love how diverse everything is. It's a bit mental. Find me another city like Bradford. Right, check this out. Welcome to Barker End. This is where I spent a lot of my childhood. In one of these flats here, we spent a lot of our misspent youth in there doing things we shouldn't have been doing, but it made me more culturally appropriate. I spent a lot of time with a mate called Aki and a friend called Nick. So T Rouse and a wagwan to you both, boys. Now, as we leave the ghetto of my misspent youth, let's check out Bradford's automotive industry, because that's why we're here, isn't it? Trying to find out who ripped off Autoalex and his lovely video editor. Bradford's automotive industry is huge. There are all sorts of different dealerships. I'm going to show you a few now. If we're going to rule out car dealerships in Bradford that might potentially have sold Mike that rotten old 5 Series, you need to start from the top of the tree and work your way down. If you've not heard of this place before, you've been living under a rock. It is indeed Carnes. A chap called Afzal, who's done remarkably well for himself, starting off his business from Bradford. And he started off with these alloy wheels. If you were one of the cool guys back in Bradford in the early noughties, you had to have a set of 17-inch Carnes on your Citroen Saxo. This is where he started making his money, and this is where he grew his business from. Now, obviously, it's not going to help us in this quest for who sold that rotten old car, so we can rule out Carnes and let's work our way through some other automotive excitement through Bradford. We'll find the buggers. This is a Bug, or a Bugatti Veyron, and this is Oasis Limousines. Now, the reason I'm showing you this place is just to show you how huge and vast the infrastructure of car sales and car dealerships and car enthusiasts are in Bradford, my hometown. You've got a beautiful Veyron sat there, a couple of amazing Lamborghinis, even an STO, and back in the corner then is a Chiron. Obviously, he's not bought the car from here, but I'm hoping this might give you a bit of an idea as to just how vast this job is to try and pinpoint one guy that sold one car to one YouTuber, or at least his cameraman. So it's not going to be here, is it? So let's move on through the dealerships. Starting off with main dealers. There are a ton of main dealers in Bradford, all the way up Sticker Lane and all the way up Canal Road as well. Lots to choose from. However, I think we can probably rule out a main dealer in this story considering the type of car that's been bought. That's going to make my life a lot easier. Sadly, there's quite a lot of this going on in Bradford. This is a closed car dealership. Unfortunately for me, makes my life a lot easier trying to work out who these gits were that sold this car. I think we can definitely rule out Peugeot on Sticker Lane. There's a few other main dealers that have recently closed in the area as well. However, unfortunately, I think we can rule main dealers out anyway from the type of car that's been bought here, but there are thousands of these independent car dealerships. It's now sunny, which has totally ruined the continuity on this one. However, I know this guy, I know it isn't him, but on this road alone there are 4 or 5 different small used car dealerships. I know there's a few up there, I know a guy who's got a car pitch up there, and we are on one little strip in the Bradford district. There are quite literally thousands of these to run through. So if we're going to work this out and get our little detective hats on and be proper investigators about it, we need to work our way backwards. In order to do that, we're going to go into the office and get methodical. Let's have a brew. Welcome to the office. Right, car dealerships in Bradford. I've done a quick Google to see how many dealers are in the Bradford district, and it actually says up to 400, which I've got to be honest, I don't believe that. However, let's just use that as a sort of rough guide to work with. The problem with Bradford is the area is huge. Now, we're based in a place called Bingley, which is sort of around about the place that Alex suggested the dealer was based in. He said it was sort of north of Bradford. We're kind of northwest of Bradford. So I've got a feeling he's going to be around here, which makes my life easier because I know a lot of dealers around here, so I can rule out tons of them straight away. So if we just go with import car dealers in Bradford, that should hopefully narrow it down a little bit. And it hasn't. So let's go northwest and look at import car dealers. So Keighley is an area that has been coming up in the comments fairly regularly, spelt fairly badly, but Keighley is an area just up the road from us. So we are here, we see this little work icon, Bradford is here, but it's still part of the Bradford district. So let's just search this area and see what comes up. Okay, so we've got a few come up. We have got Automotive Cars. I know the owner of that, a guy called Graham, 100% not him, proper top bloke. Plexus Motors, never come across them before. Never come across Plexus Motors, they seem to be well reviewed. Then we got Motorhub. If you are not aware of who Motorhub are, that is a video for another day. I'm actually going to be going in there soon with a bit of luck and meeting the owners and having a bit of a chat because they've got some serious tackle in Motorhub. There's a lot going on in the Bradford district. I might have a little bit of a loss at this stage as to whether or not I'm going to start going through absolutely every dealer. Worthside Motors, not come across them before. That looks like an import car though. I do recognise this dealer from photographing cars. Hello. Photographed in January 2024. I thought I had him like that. Photographed January 2024. That can't be it. The car was bought recently. One thing that was jumping out in the comments was one particular name just kept on coming up and up, which is called Import Cars in Bingley. Now, let me just show you this business because it all starts to get a little bit smelly when you look at them. The Import Centre. This car dealer is based just down the road from me. So if you look, Cubic Cars is my dealership and Import Car Centre is quite literally down the road. If I was to put directions in here, you cannot get any closer. Now these guys haven't been on this estate for long. I've been here for about 3.5, 4 years, something like that. And they've only just cropped up. So they're a fairly new business and the name pops up countless times in the comments. In fact, the most liked comment on that video is, "This is the company, internet do your worst." Now, when you look at the reviews for this business as well, it's fairly condemning. There are a lot of reviews about this car that was sold to Mike, but a lot of 1-star reviews in general, some with no comments on at all. The plot thickens, but we're starting to look like we might have found our guy. In fact, this guy who put this comment on might actually have helped me out here by doing the research already. So let's have a proper look at where they are. We'll just go onto Google Earth and see if we can see much about them. This is the industrial park that I work on, or as we like to call it with our customers, this is the business park that we work on not too far from Leeds. I am fully aware of the reputation that Bradford's got with the car sale side of things. I know because I suffer it being a car dealer near Bradford, so we've been known to say on various occasions we're not too far from Leeds, which is true. Now, I'm on this estate and I'm literally here. This is my business, which if you are new to the channel, you won't have seen before, but if you've seen the channel before, you will recognise this. This is Acorn Garden Centre, and that is a Porsche Cayenne that I sold. That's a Touareg that caused me a load of jip. My Ducati's outside, and there's a Maserati in that back corner. That is me, and this is them. Here. Now you can see they've not been there long because it doesn't even look like a car dealership there. Now, funnily enough, I know a dealer that's moved in on the side, Bingley Cars, but I don't know much about the import centre. Now, from everything we've seen so far, the reviews are fairly condemning. They're coming up a lot of times in the comments, and they're literally a stone's throw from my dealership. So what we're going to do is go down and confront them. I really don't want to bring problems to my front door, but if these guys are trading on the same estate I am, selling cars in the same industry I am, and ripping people off, then eventually that reputation might start to work its way up the hill to my dealership. So we're going to go in and we'll have a little friendly chat. See how friendly they are. Research compiled, bat acquired. I'm hoping we're not going to need any sort of brute force here because they are new to the estate and I'm sure they're trying to make a good impression. This is one way to meet your neighbours, but I am going to make sure we are well prepared and put it in the car. I'm actually going to take a bit of security with me. Tim, have you got my back, mate? You having your lunch? Thanks, mate. Right. Let's find out exactly what is occurring down here. I'm sure they've got an explanation for everything. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is Import Car Centre. There's a dodgy looking man in there. Another dodgy looking man in there. I don't want to make it too obvious. Where shall I park? So this is the company that is all over the internet, been named so many times in the comments, have now got a load of 1-star reviews and are defending themselves in the comments. It wasn't me, bro, wasn't me. Well, we're about to find out, aren't we? I'm just going to stick it outside the front door. I'll pretend I'm a customer, of which they'll probably have very few after this. Okay, so jokes aside, I'm not going to go in there with a baseball bat. Let's just go in, have a little chat and try and work out exactly what's gone wrong. Alex, I don't know what these boys are like, so I'm just suggest that you maybe hide behind the car or whatever. Yeah, let's have a little chat with them. Can we have a little chat, lads? So it appears we've got a little bit of a problem. This is Matt, Adam, and T. What's happened then?
So we started getting loads of 1-star reviews.
Right.
Like we had about 50 altogether.
Right, okay.
And then we were kind of wondering what's going on. So we were all like ringing each other and saying, you know, what's happened and stuff. And
Yeah.
we kept bringing up this name called Mike. Like Mike, don't be like Mike and stuff like that.
Who's Mike?
Yeah, who's Mike? We've not sold a car to anybody called Mike. So then we were a bit confused, weren't we?
Yeah.
Like really confused as to like what's going on and
So
stuff.
you're just getting battered with 1-star reviews?
Yeah, 1-star reviews.
At first
Then,
we thought it was a review extortion thing.
yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah, like one of these
Yeah.
WhatsApp companies
Because
that...
we got a message before a couple of weeks ago about paying to remove reviews or something.
Right, okay,
With a
I get
screenshot
that.
of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
reviews and
So
stuff. So
we thought it was that. But maybe it wasn't that.
yeah.
Right, okay.
So then we had customers started ringing us up and saying, you know, what's all this? You know, you've scammed these people. We had a customer who bought a car off us saying, you know, are you going to scam us and stuff like that. And then we just get people ringing us up and saying, we want a deposit back. We were getting cancelled viewings and stuff like that.
Right,
so
okay.
we were just like really confused. And then we got a prank call from somebody threatening us, saying all this stuff. And then we found out that this guy, we Googled his number, and he has a recovery company in Northampton.
Okay, this is the prank call.
This is the prank call,
Yeah, okay.
So when we rung him up and we said, you know, we know you've got a recovery company, you know, we're going to report you for all this stuff you're saying to us. Then he started crying on the phone, and we said, you know, where have you got our details from? And he told us that we were an Autoalex video on YouTube.
Right, okay.
And somebody called Mike had been scammed.
Yes.
So then we seen the video, and then we were just like, this all makes sense now, all these reviews have come in and stuff like that.
Okay. Just to clarify, did you sell that car?
No.
Right.
It had nothing to do with the car at all.
The plot thickens.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously you do import stuff here anyway.
Yeah.
You're in Bradford, so obviously you're dodgy, selling import cars. So
Yeah.
Well, we tell customers we're from Bingley, so.
yeah, I
Yeah,
say
yeah.
near Leeds.
Yeah.
Near Leeds is a good one. Right, okay, because unfortunately there is this like cloud of doom over Bradford, especially with import car stuff,
Yeah.
where everyone gets sort of tarnished with the same brush. So what sort of stuff is it that you're doing from here then? Is it like fresh imports?
Fresh
or?
imports, yeah. We've been doing it since November last year.
Right, okay.
So we know this car was imported like 3 years ago.
Yes.
So we know it had nothing to do with us.
Okay.
So yeah.
So you're definitely 100%.
Yeah. And our cars get inspected in Japan twice.
Okay.
Then when they come over here, they get inspected again before
Yeah.
they go for sale. And then any issues or whatever, if the customer's got any issues, we tell them to bring the car back, we get the car sorted. We don't fob customers off.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't cut people off. We don't say to them, no, we're not helping you.
All the cars come standard 6-month warranty anyways with Momentum.
Right, yeah, because I saw the momentum warranties in all the screens. Right, okay, so this it doesn't add up. Have you got any idea who it might be?
We didn't at first. Then there were a couple of people on the video saying it were us,
Yeah.
saying it were another company in Keighley, another company in Bradford,
Okay.
another company in Bingley. So we were just like, we didn't know who it was. We had no idea, did we? We
Right,
had no
so-
idea at all.
We've got more digging to do then.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, you've not sold the car, you've got nothing to do with it. You only do fresh imports anyway, so it couldn't be you.
We import them ourselves as well, so.
Oh, right, so
Yeah.
you're direct from Japan.
Yep.
You've ended up with a plethora of 1-star reviews. People have retracted the deposits, and you've had threatening phone calls and
Yep.
prank phone calls.
Yep.
All on the back of a YouTube video.
Yeah.
Right.
One comment from a YouTube
One
video.
comment.
One
Yeah,
comment.
yeah. Well, that's the one that drew me here because I was reading through them and I thought, well, this guy's onto something. Obviously, 'cause it was liked by sort of 200 or 300 people or whatever.
There were people on there as well saying, on the comment it said, do your worst, internet, do your worst.
I saw that.
So
yeah.
then people were saying, we've left a review, what I said, stuff like that. So we were just like,
They were saying that in the reviews as well.
yeah,
weren't they?
yeah,
Saying in the reviews, this is what happens when you
yeah.
scam
Internet has
somebody.
a huge presence.
Oh, that's not okay, is it?
Yeah.
The thing that's baffling me is whoever scammed him will have known who it was
Yeah.
and didn't care.
Yeah.
So what sort of dealer would do that anyway? Well, I'm from Bradford probably. Narrow it all down.
Yeah.
Anything to add to Autoalex?
All right, mate.
Yeah. Could you please clear this name?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, we'll keep doing some digging. I really appreciate you. Yeah, being open and honest, lads, and we'll try and find out who's properly responsible.
No
But
problem.
I'm gutted for you because I thought we're only up the road. I thought if these guys are down here scamming people, I need to know because
Yeah.
it affects what I do as well. But obviously we've spoken off camera as well. I mean, what you're doing is absolutely
Don't
kosher.
you rob with it.
Oh, what? I'm sick of you coming here taking all my business. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, sorry it's gone this way, lads, but let's see if we can find out who it is and go from there.
Thank you.
No worries. Back to the office. If you are enjoying what you're seeing and you're liking what I'm doing, please don't forget to give that subscribe button a little bit of a caress and maybe give the notification bell icon a bit of a kiss and you'll be notified of all of our exciting content moving forwards. Hopefully, we shall see you on some future videos, but let's get back to the grind. Right. I know what you're thinking. And do we believe them? I'll be inclined to. They seem like decent blokes, to be fair. And unfortunately, the world that we live in, it's easy to jump to conclusions, as that chap did in the comments. So I just want to make sure 100% that it wasn't them before I clear them. Who am I to be doing this investigation? I don't know, I just think it needs doing. Right, let's clear them. So first thing I want to draw your attention to is their website. You can see this is definitely them. That is absolutely the building that we've just been in. And we view the stock. Let's have a quick look and see if there's any clues as to what's going on here. So these are the cars they've got in for sale, and you'll have seen that, you'll recognise them from around the unit. So 100%, that's so cool, by the way. And they did suggest if I wanted to come down and do a review on that, they would be more than happy to let me. So that might be coming your way soon. An interesting car, to say the least. Right, this is where I did some interesting research. So, as you well know, when we do our HPI checks on cars, we use a company called Vehicle Score. Now, Vehicle Score is a good way of checking your car. It gives you a free score out of 999, and it will tell you whether or not the car is good, bad, indifferent. But also, if you pay a couple of quid, I think it's £12.95 or whatever, it will tell you the full history of the car. So, I did that on it, and it wasn't giving me much other than that it was an imported car, what it scored out of 999, there was no finance outstanding, everything was fine on that check. And I think it's fair to be said that you can't find engine problems on a car check, but it wasn't showing me much in the way of where it might have come from, but it was telling us that it was a kosher car. Now that is the same on all HPI car checkers, you're not going to find out much, but there are some sort of dealer details that we can go into using different systems. Now, I've got a car buying site called Carmora, and on Carmora we always make sure we do our research as to where a car has sold from in the past, because that sometimes gives us a pattern of behaviour for the value of it. Doesn't really give you anything history-wise as to whether or not it's good, bad, indifferent, like Vehicle Score would, but it will just tell us where it's been sold from and how much it was sold for, which, say you've got some sort of a disparity car on book price versus retail price and spec, etc., this paints a better picture for us. So I'm going to let you in on a little secret here. I'm going to show you what it brought up on that 5 Series, and here it is now. This is Mike's car, or what is now Alex's car, and these are the old for sale adverts. We can find this through the motor trade, and as you can see, it sold back in 2024 for £12,000. It's shown as unsold, but it left the market then until 2026, and then it left the market briefly. It was only on for 5 days, and it reduced in price by 1,500 quid to £8,490. Now, Mike apparently paid 8 grand for this car, and that would indicate that he got a discount there of about £500. It's showing as sold there. Now, unfortunately, what it isn't doing is it isn't showing the actual dealership that it got sold from. But the one thing that's jumping off the page from me is how that car's been photographed, and I can get all the old photographs as well. So let's have a quick look through these. So these are the photographs that were used on that car when it was listed online for sale. These are the very same photographs that Alex and Mike will have seen. As you can see, it's photographed on what appears to be a housing estate, and it looks familiar to where we are as well. You can see there the door is a slightly different colour, as it was pointed out on the video, and it looks like 5 Series to me. Now, there are clues within these images, and first of all, what I'd like to do is draw your attention back to Import Car Centre's website. So this is their website, and look at how they photograph cars. So you've got the front quarter showing, sometimes it changes from side to side, but that's not the end of the world. Normally they're facing that way. This car is facing that way. Normally the wheels have got a little bit of a turn on. I would say that's probably half a lock on a turn rather than a full lock. This one appears to be turned on full lock. This is where it starts to get really analytical, but I think it's important if you're trying to find out who it is. The key differences here is this car looks to have been photographed on a private estate of some sort, whereas their cars are clearly photographed either inside or outside of a car dealership. Crucially as well, the number plates aren't showing on their photographs as well. Now there's another clue on this. Look at the pricing. This car was for sale for 8,490. Prior to that, it was for sale for 9,890. Look at all the pricing on import cars. 995, 995, 995, 995. All of them are 995. Everything ends with a 95. Now, why would you sell a car differently, photograph it differently and price it differently? For me, undoubtedly, these guys have got absolutely nothing to do with the chain of events that happened here. And what is alarming is this is what happens on the internet when a scapegoat is found. Rightly or wrongly, it is trial by the internet, and those boys down the road, whatever you might think of them, they seem like a decent set of lads to me, whatever your opinion might be of them, they appear to be running a sound business selling sound cars that are directly imported from Japan and have got nothing to do with this. They've been threatened, they've got 1-star reviews, and they've physically lost money as a result of it, which has made me more hell-bent on finding who it is. So we're going to go a little bit further. So let's just get some facts established here. We think the car was sold in this area. We think it was sold potentially on Auto Trader. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to search for all the cars for sale in this area on Auto Trader and just see if we can find something that's photographed in the same place. That should hopefully give us our dealer, shouldn't it? Let's have a quick look. So I've been scrolling through Auto Trader for about 5 or 10 minutes now, and it has not taken long to find the culprit, or we might be the culprit. Let's have a quick look at these photos. They look almost identical to the photographs of the car that was in question, the BMW 5 Series. If you look at it, it's photographed on a very similar corner here. If you look, you've got some grass here, a wall there, a bit of shrubbery behind it, and then looking behind in the background, you've got these houses that Some have got pebble dashing on, some are white. That for me is looking like it's very, very close to the same area. It's almost uncanny, the photographs. This is going to help a lot because they don't look identical, but they look very similar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the details for this car dealer, because he has got his details on Auto Trader. He's got a few cars for sale, look, all photographed in a very similar way. I'm going to get his address details. I'm going to head on up there and just see whether or not it does indeed look the same, because it's not quite the same, but it's very similar. Let's get a photo of that BMW again. This look familiar to anybody? I would argue that is exactly where this photograph was taken of this car. I've done a little bit of research, I've been on Google Maps, I've had a look around on there. But if you look, you've got the red house in the background, you've got the wall, you've got the grass, you've got the shrubbery. This is the spot, isn't it? Now what I need to do is find out if there's another car dealer selling cars using this photograph, because it is quite unique. You've got blue signs on here, obviously got the red house, got this weeping willow or whatever. I think this is the spot, the very spot that the car was photographed, and these will have been the photographs that Mike saw when he decided to buy it blind from all the way up here. We're getting closer. Back to the office. Okay, now I'm going to be very careful here because we've already got a guy that's been thrown under the bus and he hasn't had any involvement whatsoever. So I'm going to throw it out there. I don't think this is the bloke, and I'm going to show you for why. When you look at the way in which these cars are advertised, they're all facing exactly the same way in the photographs. So they're all got the sort of driver's side front corner. Then when you look at the photograph of the BMW, although it is photographed on the same front corner, there looks like there's a little bit more lock on the wheel, and actually it's not the same background. Do you know what I mean? Same corner, different background. These have all got a straight wheel. BMW's got his wheel turned. Now, the other thing to bear in mind on this car as well is when you look at the advert description. So the advert description for this is all in capital letters. And you're thinking, well, we've got him then. But have you noticed that between each of these paragraphs or sayings or whatever is a dash, whereas on here, you've got stars, no dashes, which is different. I know there's slight nuances, but it's different. Also, the thing to notice as well is when you look at how this guy is pricing all of his cars, he's pricing all of his cars very similar to how the import place is pricing the cars, which they all end 9.5, and the BMW was of course 9.80. The other thing that jumps off the page, two other things. First of all, the headlines. So, for example, that Punto, new clutch fitted, capital letters, June 2027 MOT on the Seat Leon. And then when you go back into the advertisement on the 5 Series, it's little letters. I don't think this is the same guy. Now, I actually rung the import centre when I thought I'd found this gem. I'm like, guys, I think I found it. I gave them the business name. I told them where it had been photographed. And it turns out they actually know the guy for all these listings. It's not him. So yet again, we're hitting a dead end. This is a bloke selling cars, running what appears to be a small car dealership, operating from a home address. He's got several cars in stock, all of a similar sort of value. He's not the bloke that's selling nearly 10 grand's worth of BMW 535. And also none of these are imports as well. So the trail has yet again gone cold. So I'm now left in a bit of a tricky situation where we're kind of that close to finding this guy. And I actually found myself back onto the comments on Alex's video to sort of shuffle through them and see if there's anything else on there, if anyone else might have had a hunch or a possibility of knowing where this car had gone from. And there's one name that kept on popping up. Now, again, I'm not going to mention the name because I did ring them and they said categorically they've had nothing to do with the sale of this car, but they gave me a telephone number of a man who did sell it. Now, this man doesn't have a car dealership, or not one that is available to see the information for online, but he does buy and sell a few cars. I got him on the phone and he gave us his interpretation of the events. Now, it's up to you which side you want to take. I'm not taking sides here. The thing that I'm trying to do is make sure that other people aren't getting caught up in this crossfire. So for example, the guy's cars we've just looked at that were photographed at the same place, nothing to do with him. The guy down the road that's taken all the flack and lost a load of money, nothing to do with him. but managing to speak to the bloke who physically sold that car was quite interesting to get his interpretation on the events. Believe it, don't believe it, it's totally your call, but there is a lot to learn from this, and I'm going to go through that after I've played you a couple of clips from that conversation so you can get a bit of a feel for what Mike might have been having to deal with, and you've got a feel for that poor bloke in all of this. This is how the phone call went down. Now, I have disguised his voice on this phone call, and the reason for that is because he's fully prepared to tell us his version of events, and he started off by telling us where he was at the moment.
Hello? So I sold him a car, obviously drove it down to him, he's just driven the car and everything, and a couple of days later he rejected it that late. But you've got to accept he's nearly 300 miles away. Now, it's a trick that I can't make every day. Does that make sense? So, like I said, if you can, if you're in your behalf or whatever, bring the car back and get your refund and off you go. Do you know what I mean? It's simple as that. But I think he wants me to pick it up, and I've been trying to arrange a collection. It's arranging it.
So, echoing the words that Alex has said in his video, this guy is willing to give a full refund, he's just not willing to collect the car, which is a bit of an awkward one really, isn't it? Because as a dealer, if you've driven it down there, then technically you should be picking it back up. But I asked him what his version of events were, and this is where it starts to get a little bit weird.
The car got driven to him, yeah?
Yeah.
It got driven to him, right? Upon delivery, he's seen the fault.
Yeah.
If anything, let me explain to you quickly. So he sent 2 professionals to see the car first, a father and son who wanted it.
Yeah.
Especially to BMW, right?
Yes.
Just driven the car, knowing the car's been sat for 3 years. So he sent some professionals over, then have a look at the car, test driven the car, engine lights on, plugged the car in, set them the codes. So I've done everything by the book. I've knocked him £500 off the price of the car, delivered it for free of charge.
Okay.
Okay, got there, he's not happy, he's rung me a couple of days later saying, originally we agreed that if anything he's spending within reason,
Yes.
not thousands obviously, right?
Yes.
On all the cars, I'll always, right? And obviously he's had an issue, he's been sat there, need a service, I did explain that before I sold the car. I did not sell anything with warranty or anything, right?
Okay.
Did all that. Dropped the car off, and a couple of days later, he's saying, look, I want a refund. Couldn't get anybody to collect the car because it's not at the port. Yeah, normally they get collected from the port by the transporters, and they were happy to go out to a home address. Anyway, when I have spoke to somebody last week about this, can I just put you on for 1 second? I do apologise.
Now, whilst I sit and wait on hold, I'm not sure if you picked up on what I picked up on there, but the guy did suggest the car was sold without a warranty, which does sound a little bit weird when the advert was kind of clearly showing that he was a dealer, and then now he's suggesting there isn't a warranty. He was sort of hinting that, potentially Mike did know what the problems were when he bought it, but from, judging Mike's reaction, I'd argue he absolutely didn't, and there's clearly been a breakdown in communication there, although he did offer more.
It's got a fuel issue. Obviously, it's been declared sat for 3 years. And it's had an oil and filter change and all that. And we both established it's got a fuel pump issue, right? Of which then I found a fuel pump. This going to go. I don't know what made him change his mind, but I played it by the book, saying, look, here's a fuel pump. I'll buy you a fuel pump, and I'll pay for the labour within reason.
Yes.
I'm a mechanic myself, right? Did all that, and he just didn't want to play it. He said I wanted a refund. So now the way we're stuck at is, again, I'm nearly 300 miles away.
So again, the dealer's suggesting that because he's so far away, that's what the problem is, and he has offered to pay for a fuel pump to remedy the situation, but it kind of doesn't solve it, does it? Now, sort of alarmingly at the end, he did, again, note the fact that there's a discount on the car, and maybe that should go towards the repair costs, and this is kind of the final part of the phone call.
I said this car was sold, it was sold as advertised. The fact I've knocked him 500 quid off and I've offered him a free delivery, right? That 500 quid really should go towards spending on the car if he wants to, but I don't know what made him change his mind. It's an inconvenience for me where I'm going to now travel 300 miles each way, take a day out and grab the car. And I'll happily drive it back, I'm going to drive back. It's got an engine light or whatever the issue is, it's got an issue, fair enough. If I were going to sell him a broken car, it certainly wouldn't make that drive 300 miles away, you know what I mean? I do apologise, mate. I've missed quite a few calls. You've got my number, if you ring me back or message me anytime,
So what can we surmise from the phone call? Well, the guy that sold the car obviously sounded very dodgy, but that's probably to do with the way we distorted his voice. He had a lot to say. He was very open and happy to talk to me, even though he had no idea who I was and what I was calling for. He seems to say that the car was sold without a warranty. He was very honest. He managed to drive it all the way down there with no issues. He discounted the car. The guy who bought it, Mike, was aware that the car had been discounted because it's been sat for so long, and he's still willing to help to pay for parts and help to, you know, refund the car as well. But it's not quite how a dealer should be. You'd be picking it up, basically, or, you know, having a go at repairing it. Whether or not there's a breakdown there, I don't know. But one thing that can be said is that Mike's obviously reacted really badly to the situation, and I think understandably so. I don't think that that communication has been very clear between the two people, which has led us to this big problem, hasn't it? Now, the other thing in all of this is that Bradford has yet again been smeared with this brush, and understandably so. The car was bought from Bradford, and he didn't get a good deal, did he? However, there's a lot more to Bradford. I'm going to show you some nice parts of it now quickly, and then after that, I'm going to show you how you can end up not falling in the same trap that Mike's fallen into and not buying yourself an absolute lemon. Anyway, you might not recognise this. So if you're wondering where I'm stood now, this is a view from a place called the Boathouse Inn, which is in a place called Saltaire, which is in a place called Bradford. Beautiful park, lovely runners, beautiful river, beautiful sunshine, and there's more to Bradford than just this. Let me show you another couple of other places. And keeping the theme with Saltaire, look at this lovely boat, and a canal and a bridge. All very pretty, isn't it? For Bradford. A bit more Saltaire for you. This is the biggest industrial building in the world, and it was built by a guy called Sir Titus Salt back in the 1800s, and it is used now to showcase the artwork by Sir David Hockney, a Bradford artist. And there's more to it than that. Check this out. So this is also part of the BD district. This is where we film all of our cars, and it is in a place called Keighley. It is literally 2 or 3 miles away from where all of this kicked off. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's perfect Yorkshire countryside. There is so much in the Bradford area that people don't know about. I love the fact that the culture is diverse. I love the fact that if you want to go out for a meal, you can have something different every night. You could have Turkish, you could have Lebanese, you could have Asian food, Indian food, whatever it is you want, you can get it in this tiny little hub that we like to call Bradford. Yes, there are bad car dealers. Yes, there are good car dealers, but there are bad and good in all areas. And the other thing that annoyed me in the video as well is when you're looking through some of the comments, there is obviously a bit of a culture divide here of people assuming it was a certain type of culture that might have been selling this car. Well, I'll tell you for nothing, having sold cars in this area for a long time, there are genuinely good and bad dealers in both or all cultures. It doesn't matter who you're buying that car from. What really matters is what they are like as a person. People kind of fall into this trap with Bradford. They think, oh, it's that sort of person selling that sort of car from that sort of place, it's going to be bad. There's more to it than that. And let me talk you through how you can save yourself all of these problems that Mike and Alex have gone through. And let's just do it by looking through that original advertisement on that car and look at all the different red flags and how you could save yourself the problem. Because I know we haven't ended up with a dealer at the end of this, but we have ended up with the individual, and I'm going to show you how you can end up not in the same position that Mike has ended up in. And Alex, to be fair, having to give him a car. Top bloke. Let's have a quick look. So first of all, again, going back to the photographs, this is a car dealer that is selling cars from the roadside. Now that in its own right isn't a bad thing, but it should be a little bit of a red flag for you. Normally a dealer would photograph cars outside of the showroom or inside of the showroom, or at least with some sort of an attempt of a nice country backdrop. Doesn't mean they're doing the job badly, but that would be the first thing that would jump off the page to me as I'm not entirely convinced by this setup. Now that in its own right isn't a reason not to buy a car. The other reason might be this appeared to be the only car this guy was selling at the time. Whereas, for example, the guy that we looked at earlier selling from the same corner on that estate had several cars for sale. He's obviously making a thing of it, whereas this guy potentially wasn't. The other big red flag in all of this was this bit. When you read through the description, it sounds a lot like a car dealer, but there was a couple of bits at the end, in particular, one which was hardly driven any miles due to loss of license. That is a personal story about a car. A car dealer usually, I mean, I'm fortunate because I tend to buy direct from people, or myself and my business partner buy direct so we understand the story, but we would never tell a story in a vehicle description. It sounds a lot like you're selling your own car, or a lot like you're selling a car that you know maybe too much about. That doesn't sound like a dealer. Photographed on the street, weird description, 2 massive red flags. The final one, of course, being only 1 car for sale. If you're going to be buying a car from a distance, blind, from a place that, let's face it, regardless of what I said, has got a reputation, go and see it. whatever you do, don't just assume everything's going to be all right because it's dressed up as a dealership. Now, there could be more to this story. There might be more in the background I don't understand with what's going on with Alex and Mike and the dealer, etc. But there are so many red flags and so much that was obviously missed in this that simply going up and viewing that car could have just eliminated all of this stress. Yes, it's 300 miles away, but when you're spending a huge amount of money and you are even slightly unconvinced with the story that you're being fed, you've got to make sure that you go out there and you see it. Now, there are some dealers that are better than others. There are some dealers that are approved by companies like the AA, for example, like our dealership. And I feel when you're fighting a fight, which we're doing in our local area because of the reputation it has, stuff like that makes a real difference. So when a customer buys a car from us, it can be inspected by the AA, not ourselves. So you've got a third party, a huge company saying that car's definitely fine, you don't need to worry about it, it's okay. We found that that really helps. And there are certain other things you can do. You can look at how many reviews a dealer's got. We're all going to have bad ones at some point, but what's the general theme of those reviews? Do they seem right? I feel really awful for Mike, and he's definitely got the right solution there. And I'd argue actually that the 3 Series is better than the 5 Series anyway, so I think Alex has done a proper ripper. But the big thing in all of this is the people that have dived on and used the wrong company as a scapegoat and affected somebody else's business. This is just entertainment on YouTube. It's not meant to be anything else. The reason that Alex was not pointing out a dealer is because they didn't want any sort of backlash, which unfortunately is exactly what's happened. So you've got to feel sorry for the dealer, you've got to feel sorry for Alex, he wasn't doing anything wrong there, and Mike, but the guy that sold the car? Anyway, I hope it gets resolved. Either way, I'm sure Alex has got a load of exciting content to do with that 5 Series, and I'm sure it's going to make some exciting videos moving forward. But if you've been one of the gits that have left him a 1-star review, it'd be amazing if you took that review off. And obviously, if you want to buy a raffle ticket, it's going to end at 7 o'clock on Saturday night. That would be helpful for me, for Andy's Man's Club, and we'll chuck something their way. I don't know what we're going to do yet. Maybe a pizza party or something very automotive. Or maybe even a curry. Thanks once again for watching. I hope you found that interesting. That was quite the journey, wasn't it? I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.